Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So tonight we have a very special tarot card reading, and this is for Anna. And Anna wants to know, well, let me kind of fill you guys in on the missing pieces here for just a minute. So Anna, and we'll just say his name is Chris. Anna and Chris were in a relationship for a while, for a period of time, and about 2 months ago, Chris, they ended the relationship. Let's just put it like that. Now Anna's really upset. It's just kind of like it's becoming more and more intolerable or unbearable to kind of, go through this. So she wants to kind of get some clarity and insight on things to find out like if they're going to be able to get back together. So we'll figure that part out. That's no problem. Then she also wants to kind of get some more insight in terms of like, should she move on or should she just stay and pursue this person? What's really the, what's really the answer here? So we'll look at the outcome and find out some different things on that. So, at first glance, this is sort of a yes or no question. So I could easily do like a 3-card spread. But if you look a little bit deeper, a little bit below the surface and all, you'll find that even though this is sort of like a question that could just as easily get a yes or no answer pretty quickly, what I want to do though is I want to really go a little bit deeper with this particular spread to kind of find out, what's the best course of action moving forward. And to be able to kind of get to some of the resolve and the answers on that, we need to do a little bit deeper dive into the reading. So that's going to take us a little bit longer, but we'll ultimately get to the same result, but we'll also get a little bit more insight and information and just some, be able to help Anna figure out what to do, or at least, give some advice or spread some light on things. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this deck right now for her. And let's see what we got. Okay, so yeah. So in the past, if we look at things as far as the past relationship goes and all, it was sort of heavy, almost kind of an oppressive kind of relationship. And what happens is sometimes we're not in a relationship. As enough time goes by, we tend to think about the positives instead of the negatives. Sometimes for some people, it goes in the opposite. Sometimes they think more about the negatives than they do the positives. And by and large, if you find yourself out of a relationship and you just got out of one, you may be thinking about both the pros and the cons because you understand very deeply what the relationship actually is. We got in this particular thing with the past, it's this. So it's telling us that relationship, just from the actual past for what it was, it wasn't that it was terrible, but tends about ending. So this was toward the tail end of the relationship that we see this, but it's really about carrying that heavy load. It's about carrying extra baggage or weight, or it's almost like where you're taxed a lot, like just in terms of your energy. You're not as free to be yourself. And that's where the relationship really was. Now, in terms of the present moment and that, where we're at, we have the King of Swords. So swords are really about the mind. It's being in your head about things, that kind of energy. And this is also the Kings, which is about laying foundations. Kings are really about authority. So it's about taking back control of our life, but also in our mind. This particular king, he's really about what's fair is fair. He makes decisions strictly based on information, things presented, and that kind of thing. Less about the emotional side of things. You can get a little bit in your head sometimes, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes, we can be our own worst enemy when we get in the head. I've often shared this favorite spiritual verse: for one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. For one who's failed to do so, the mind will be the greatest enemy. And so that can kind of be the case here. This king here, he wants to have control of his own mind. He doesn't want to be under the control or the influence of other people. He wants to be independent and free, but maybe also in the back of his mind, he's also like, wanting that camaraderie or that partnership or that being with another person. And kings, when you have that kind of authority and stuff like that, you can attract a lot of powerful things into your life, a lot of resources, people, finances. In this case, this is about the mental, and it's about, finding your own inner truth and bringing that to light, to get answers and solutions and things that really work for you. And that's really important. And the near future and stuff, and guys, I'm calibrated to about 3 months out. I tell you guys that all the time with these readings, but it's really about 3 months out. And depending on the energy, like for this one here, I'm thinking of about 5 months, for example. And interestingly, it's the 5 of Wands and the Roman numeral 5 there. 5's about change. So about 5 months out, you kind of see this kind of energy where everyone is kind of like on their own, doing their own thing. They're all fighting one another. Nobody's really taking sides or anything like that. Everybody's kind of in it for themselves. So you have that kind of an energy that comes with this. So it's about competition. So there's competition out there. Competition can be really good sometimes because it gives us the opportunity to work harder. But it also teaches us to kind of, learn to be the best. I mean, if you're constantly out there competing, you're having to keep up with the competition. So you're putting your best foot forward. You're not being, lackadaisical with things or lazy. You're being really forthcoming, and you're really putting forth a good effort and doing things like that to really become the best version of yourself that you can become. And when you're able to do that, and you're putting your energies and your efforts and things into that, like I said, about 5 months out from now, well, what you'll start to see, or you'll start to identify or notice, is that as you start to really become the best version of yourself, a lot more opportunities come about. And with more opportunities, of course, will come more competition. Well, at some point, you get to kind of a place with all of this where you feel very much satisfied. You get a sense of satisfaction, or you get to a kind of a leveling off place where you really understand your true value and what you're capable of achieving and what you're able to bring in, but you also understand your weaknesses too, the things maybe you could work on improving slowly over time. But giving most of your energy, most of your effort to the things that you're very skilled at, the things that you have a lot of, you can compete well on. So for example, like if you're Simone Biles, the gymnast who is like, she's just phenomenal. You may not want to go and be, start becoming a tennis star because you're so good at the gymnastics, right? You don't want to just shift gears because you're really good at one thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that will transfer over into tennis. There's other people that are expert at tennis and they can compete in that arena, whereas they might not be able to transfer over and be gymnasts. So it's sort of that kind of a thinking here. It's like what you're really good at is what you really want to stay focused on, and you want to really give a lot of your attention to. And that's what we're really seeing with this. And like I said, about 5 months out, we start to really see a lot of that start to take place. And so please take note of that in order to become the best version of yourself. When you do, you will get recognition. People will see you in a different light. People that might not have paid attention to you or given you the time of day will now start to pay more attention to you and have greater expectations of your time and want more from you. So be aware of that. And when that happens, you can feel like sometimes everyone's trying to fight or compete or get in this game to get what they want. But the key is to just work on yourself, and to trust your own self and to get to a place where you feel comfortable with where you're at. So hope that helps a little bit with the future and stuff, the near future anyway. Right now, I want to transition over to the energy surrounding that King of Swords that we talked about. That's what's going on now. That's that mental authority. And the energy that we have right now going on in the current situation is the Fool. So the Fool is, it doesn't mean that you're foolish or by any means. What this is, it's about footloose and fancy free. There's a cliff here that this Fool is about to walk off because they're not really paying attention to what's going on in front of them. They don't know what the terrain is. They don't know what the journey is going to be like. They're just kind of, footloose and fancy free, carefree kind of energy. We have the Sun, so it's really positive. So there's pros and cons to the Fool card, and kind of the things to kind of pay out pay attention to or to watch out for would be this idea of naivety. If you're not really sure what's really going on with someone or what their real intentions are, then it's really hard to know that person too well. And so you might make decisions that could put you in a situation that you don't want to be in. And that's what I'm kind of picking up with this. If you traverse backwards into this relationship, I'm really picking up that heavy load that you carried before, the energy and things that were what the relationship it wasn't for whatever reasons really working out right for either one of you guys. It's that it's just going to wear you down more, and it's just going to. It's interesting because like that the past represents the familiar, right? The Fool, though, in the current situation, all represents the new. So it's kind of like a new journey or a new path or a new way of looking at things, you know. And even though this naivety can spell out like inexperience is not always a bad thing. It gives us a really good foundation for creating a great future for ourselves, in fact. So like in order to really excel and to win at new relationships, we can always look back on the past and see what wasn't working for us so that we can see what will help us moving forward. But the Fool is really, it's a journey, you know, it's like a new kind of journey and one that we can experience. And, you know, with the fresh rays of hope, sunnier days ahead. But again, because it's kind of that energy of the King of Swords, you're still having a good foundation, a mental foundation. Getting your mindset right is really the critical thing here right now for you. And now you've been bruised, you know, like going through the stresses of a past relationship can be very overwhelming. It can be depressing. It can be unforgettable, and it can be very heart-wrenching. I mean, it can really tear away at us. A lot of that is the investment of time and emotions and just our, you know, physical experiences and all these kind of things that really do kind of symbolize and make up the tarot overall. All of these different things is kind of, we invested that in the past. And so the past didn't necessarily work out the way that we had idealized it to work out, or the way that we had anticipated or imagined or hoped that it would. And so because of that, you know, it kind of creates this painful situation where we feel a sense of loss. And that's what happens in the material universe. Like, you know, nothing lasts forever, you know, like even this pillow here, you know, this pillow here, one day will cease to exist. I mean, it serves its purpose now, but one day it'll cease serving that purpose, and then it will take on some other form. It's true of anything, you know. So even though that can be a little hard to grasp, that idea that nothing lasts forever, the impermanence of everything, and it can even be sad, the same thing is like, you know, we learn from these experiences in order to open up new opportunities, you know, pave the way for ourselves, and be able to just continue to learn and grow and to find out the things that are really the best for us, you know, what's in our best interest, what is going to help us along our journey that we call life, and what will ultimately bring us a greater happiness. So even though the past may seem like a loss, it was actually a gain. It actually brought you to a place that you're at now so that you can, you know, keep moving forward and have a better life and to bring new things about for yourself. And it's a really positive card in that regard. And the Fool card is really that symbol of like, you know, it's okay to not be, you know, totally clued in all the time. You know, it's okay to venture off and to have this kind of youthful energy about us. It's a positive thing, you know, and imagination and all these kind of things are really powerful things that have helped bring about a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, a lot of things along people's journeys. But just be careful a little bit, because sometimes people can take advantage of you when you're a little naive, or, you know, you're not really so much in the know, and that kind of thing. So watch out for that a little bit. And then, like we said, in about 5 months from now and all, you'll start to see things materialize where there's a lot of competition. You know, it could be around relationships. Maybe the person you want has a lot of competition, but you want to be in that person's life. And you really think you can make the impact. Then you really can. You have that power, but you just have to be willing to put yourself out there to compete, to take on whatever, you know, comes about. But by that time, you'll have a nice rest from this relationship for a while, like a nice 7-month rest, actually. So because of that, 7's really about spirituality, shifting things forward in a more positive direction. You'll start to see that happening. Now let's talk about kind of where you're at with everything and kind of where your mindset would be, and the attitude card and everything as far as the advice goes with that. That's that card Temperance right here. Temperance is this angel. She's got a concoction. She's pouring one liquid from one vessel into another in order to get the perfect concoction. It takes a lot of patience for that to happen. Temperance is really about patience. It's really about, not getting in a really huge hurry, and about just kind of being patient and being accepting of that patient. It's hard when especially if you're going through pain, or if you're desiring something and that attachment to something is really, really strong. It's really natural to get in a hurry or to want what you want now. Here's the thing, like with temperance really does, and what's really great about this particular card in this particular situation, temperance really paves the way for you to have whatever you want. So here's the thing, even though it might take you a little bit of time, say you want to get back with this person that you were with, right? If you want to get back with this person, within about 5 months from now and all, you'll definitely be able to do that. You'll have put in the time and the patience and everything to be able to rematerialize this relationship. But here's something else, that even a gift that maybe kind of goes under the radar that you may not realize. You give yourself 5 months from now and all to get yourself back in this other position and all, you may decide that that person's not really worth your time, and that they're not really worth pursuing, and that something else has come along that fancies your interest a little bit more. And then you'll have a different perspective on things than the way that you have that perspective right now. But the choice will ultimately be yours, and that's what temperance is really going to bring you. Having patience and being able to just, take this journey and learning to become the best version of yourself is going to make you very, very, very attractive to others. So I want you to be really, really prepared for that. It's going to be like, if you've ever wondered, if maybe you've ever watched like television shows, or if you were young and in school. I remember back in those schoolyard days where, the popular kids, they used to be very popular, and then there were people that were less popular, and then every grade of popularity in between, and so on. And so you had like your outcasts, you had people that were more in class. I don't even remember what they call it now. It's been so many years ago, but you had like a popularity contest. Well, the reason that some people were so attractive to others and were so popular, it's because of that competition thing. They were able to compete on a level that others weren't able to compete. Maybe they were like a star athlete, or maybe they were incredibly attractive, just in terms of what they were, the clothes that they wore. They were able to buy the most expensive clothes at the time, and they had nice vehicles that their parents bought them. Just all these kind of things, And so because of that, because of what they had, they were able to compete on a level that others weren't able to. Here's the thing. When you start competing and you start putting yourself up here, you're going to see that, the more competitive that you become, the better version of yourself you will become. And you're going to have people coming out of the woodwork to want to be in a relationship with you. And there's going to be a lot of competition around that. And that's going to be a whole nother situation you'll have to deal with. And I know it may be really challenging to think in that direction right now, especially after this other relationship 2 months ago. But you may decide that your time isn't even worth spent on this person that you once cared so deeply about, and that you still continue to have strong feelings for and really want to be in a relationship with. The good news is you can have it either way. And you have this nice interim period of time right now to decide along this next 5 months, is this person still really worth your time? And if they are, sure, you can be in that relationship. You can have that person back in your life. The tarot card definitely says that that's a real possibility for you, and that it's definitely doable. The tarot also says that if you decide that person's not worth your time 5 months out, and that there's other things that interest you or other things, that you can definitely have those things as well. And that's what the temperance is really going to get you. But you got to have that patience. And I know that's not always easy. Like I was saying before, when you have an attraction for something or someone or people or whatever it is, when you have that attraction and that person is no longer in your life or something like that, it can feel like a death. I mean, it can feel really, really horrible, because and it depends on how strong that attraction is. The stronger the attraction, and as time goes on, that attraction can even build, as is the case now. It's been 2 months since the breakup, and I mean, you're really fixed on this person, and you're realizing day after day that it's becoming harder and harder to be without this person. You're becoming more and more attractive. attracted to this person. But, if you go back to 2 months ago, you were less attracted to the person than you are right now. And so when the relationship was ending and stuff like that, it was like, yeah, it was painful, very painful and stuff. But that pain has only increased because of the distance and time and everything that has lapsed from that situation. If you go back and put yourself back in that situation now, you might see some of the pitfalls, the things that maybe you're not seeing right now. You can go back in and recalibrate your memory a little bit to say, well, there were these other things here too, and you can look at things from a practical perspective as well. It's easier said than done though, because when we're in relationships, oftentimes we're not using our practical faculties of rational, reasoning ways of making decisions and that kind of thing. We're doing things based on love, based on emotion, based on feelings, those kind of things. And so that can be really, really a challenging thing to kind of wrap our mind around, because really ultimately you can't wrap your mind around emotions all the time. Emotions are very fluid, like water. They come and go, and so they're constantly shifting. And so keeping up with them it's like trying to watch water down a stream and being able to follow it as it goes. Water is water, and you kind of get, blinded by the other water that surrounds it. So it's a fast-moving energy. So let's continue here. So a little bit further on, let's kind of see like where the outcome is here. So the outcome that we see right here, maybe 5 months out, we see the Six of Swords. Here's the thing with it. If you look at this, if you can see this card, like this card here is this person, they're going away from these choppy waters. We talked about water as sort of the analogy here, and you have choppy waters or rough waters, stormy seas. With that, this person is going away from that. So the things that were causing you a lot of mental unrest, the things like right now going on with you and all, you're moving away from that. And in 5 months from now and all, a lot of this time that has gone by will shift, and you'll see things completely different. And they will be different, like the way that you see them and stuff will just naturally shift and change. And that's perfectly okay. Now you can say right now in the present moment, no, that's not going to happen. And that's what everybody says, that's what we all would kind of naturally say, is like, because we're stuck in this moment. This is what we're seeing. We're seeing the water droplet, but we're not seeing the vast expanse of the ocean and everything else out there. We're just so narrowly focused in one direction that's really hard to see beyond that. And that's it. So this is about moving from chaos to calm. So whatever chaos or things that have been in the past, now you're moving in more calmer seas. It's really where you're forced to let go of something that you're attached to. And this process of letting go, like I said, is really difficult. It's a sadness of loss can be replaced by, with this card, it can be replaced by more clarity. But like I said, this calmer water body that you're headed toward right now, you're moving in that direction, will bring more understanding around the situation and everything for you. So I hope that helps you a lot with that. What is the answer to getting the calmer waters and to making that happen for yourself? It's the Emperor card right here. And the Emperor, he's really about law and order. These two elements, laws, order, there are these ingredients that are necessary for a strong, lasting foundation, okay? And if you want to build success, if you want to have strong relationships and all, you got to have strong foundations. This Emperor, he's all about taking advantage of your resources. And right now, maybe you're not identifying all of those resources. Like, how do you get what you want? That's the question, right? There's always an answer to a problem. And if you can think in terms of the problem, if you understand the problem, you can oftentimes think through and figure out what the solution is. In this case, it's time. In this case, it's patience. That's what we're fighting with this spread. In a 5-month period, there's a lot of life lessons to learn, where there's naivety and stuff right now in this current situation. You can start to build out of that and start to become wiser, more competitive. You can put yourself out there and really ultimately achieve a lot of success. And instead of chasing after someone or others, you'll have actually people starting to really chase after you. You go from being like who you are now to this super popular person that everybody wants to know and wants to associate with. And that's really where I'm kind of picking up the energy is headed for you. And when that happens and all, when you're the wanted instead of wanting, you are the object of others' affection instead of others being the object of your affection. But then once you're in that position and you have that kind of authority, as the King of Swords sort of indicates, and the Emperor really kind of dictates, you can then at this time start to put into place different foundational elements, that's laws, orders, things that are important to you, making sure there's a certain standard that has to be met, and all these kind of things. And all of these ingredients can really work together for your best future and for moving forward. You have a very, very awesome tarot card reading. I mean, I've really enjoyed doing this tarot card reading because it's super, super positive. It's very, very telling. And, oftentimes, you just never really know, like going into a tarot card reading, what the outcome is really going to be. I get sometimes before I do a tarot card reading, I do get impressions or I get some kind of a sense of things. But really where I'm going with this is that you're headed in a really, really positive direction, and that there's a little bit of sadness and mourning and things that go on, but as time goes on, you will get past it. And with patience and things, and with this, look at yourself in terms of like really being able to compete and put yourself out there and become the best version of yourself that you are. If you focus in that direction alone, you're going to start to see some really huge shifts start to happen for you. And a lot of really positive things are really going to come into your life. And the way that you feel right now is going to be vastly, vastly different than the way that you feel 5 months from now. So I hope that this really helps you. And if you have any questions or you need any advice or spiritual guidance or anything like that, if that's your thing, please reach out to me. I'm always here for you as your tarot coach. And guys watching this, if you guys want to help out the monks here and the mission that we do as far as spreading love for God to others and being able to do these type of service projects and all, you're more than welcome to donate. Just go to helpbydonating.com. You can give whatever is in your heart. It does a lot of good, and we really thank you for that. And then, of course, if you guys need to reach me for any reason or anything like that, my email address will be below in the description also, so that you can reach out to me and stuff if you have a question or you have a problem or a life situation that you need some guidance or clarity on. As a monk, I'm always here for you. So much love, many blessings. I hope to see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.